Welcome back from Imo State. We're moving, should I say, all around the country now because we have internally displaced persons all over Nigeria right now. And their plight hasn't been helped by the activities of those people. Neota, who are those people?
I don't know.
BH.
Some say it's Boko Haram, some people say it's suspected Fulani herdsmen, some say it's kidnappers, some say it's armed robbers. Those people.
Okay, those people. All the four and many more. All their activities have resulted in a lot of, over 1 million internally displaced persons in Nigeria who are all living in various camps. And it has been suggested that the camps are not really as they should be. But who am I? We have experts in the studio who are going to help us look at the plight of the IDPs in Nigeria. And it's my pleasure to welcome the former Commissioner for Information in Taraba State, Mr. Emmanuel Bello.
Thank you very much, Adero.
Good morning.
So nice to be here.
Thank you for coming. And then we have the Deputy Director, Protection and Investigation over at the National Human Rights Commission, Mr. Lambert Okwara. Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Yes. Let me start with Taraba State, because you are in the thick of it all. It's your area. So, what do these camps look like? We understand that some of the children don't even have access to education. And are they well funded? Are the persons eating well? You know.
Well, yes, and thank you. You are talking about Taraba as a case study because we are among some of the worst, hit states when it comes to the issue of internally displaced person. But I don't want us to focus on the problem. I want to focus on what we're doing right in Taraba State and what we're doing to ensure that we actually put a different narrative to the entire crisis of, neglect in camps, the problem of the access you're talking about to good health, to water. What we have done in our state is to ensure that we make it a priority. We make the refugees a priority. In as much as our prayer and hope is that someday...
Now you're calling them refugees. Oh God, refugees in their own country.
Well, when you're an internally displaced person, that's unfortunately is a situation that you find yourself in. You're uprooted, as it were, from where you're supposed to be. You're in another person's place. Of course, they're internally, displaced people, because even there in Taraba, we've got our own people too. And you have to know the category of the kind of displaced people we have in our state. Apart from the influx from the other places, we have got people that, because of the various crises of Fulani crisis, the thief crisis and all the Fulani attacks in some of our communities. There are people that have been sent away from their villages over the month, partly too because of bad leadership in the past. So we are coping with something that I think most other states in Nigerians are not coping with. Apart from the number, we are coping with our own people too, who are already displaced and now live, unfortunately, like you say, refugees even in their own land. And so, but one of the things we've always say, and we're going to use this opportunity to air this, is that we need a lot of support from the federal government to be able to cope with everything. We're doing a lot already.
When you say
and we're dealing with crisis.
What exactly are you doing?
Yes, first and foremost, we ensure that there's an all-round security around them. Because it's another thing just to have people in a place. It's one thing to ensure that they're even secured again. As I speak to you right now, we're having crisis of some of them, some attackers coming into our state, especially the central part of our state, and just, from various places. If you look at us geographically, we are placed in a very precarious kind of situation where we are close to, some border areas that people could drive in, come in and, do some things. So we're ensuring their security first and foremost. And we're ensuring that they are provided with everything that they need in camp to keep them safe. We'll talk of food, talk of clothing, and we're working with various donor agencies to ensure that this happen. That was why we were alarmed when, there was a story that we have abandoned our, the internally displaced people in our state. But I want to tell you one of the most important things we're doing. We're working with communities to ensure that there's peace, to ensure that these people even find their way back to the places that they come from, because that will be the discussion going forward. We're going to go from the discussion of welfare of the IDPs to how to, reintegrate them to society, back to communities where they're from. Okay. And so we're in the process of those kind of peace talk. Governor Darius is on top of it. We're ensuring that we're discussing with communities, restoring peace, that will ensure that, internally displaced people go back to where they're coming from.
Okay, Mr. Kwara, he has spoken, or he is speaking specifically of Taraba State. I suppose you have a broader view because you have been to the states, apart from Taraba. What are your impressions regarding the way that these people are being cared for?
Well, first and foremost, the National Human Rights Commission has the mandate to monitor cases of human rights violations across board. And when the issue of internally displaced persons came up, it became one of the focus of the commission. In collaboration with the UNHCR, the commission trained and deployed about, I think, a total of 310 monitors within the Northeast, North Central, including FCT. So the job of these human rights monitors is to bring reports on a weekly basis to the commission. In addition to that, there were situations in FCT where some internally displaced persons approached the commission, seeking the commission's protection from eviction and complaining of being denied relief materials by the relevant authorities. Indeed, they trooped to the commission to see the Executive Secretary, Professor Bem Angwe, 500 of them. That was in August. And this jolted the commission all the more so. We had to go to the settlements in FCT, and we were a little bit surprised from what we saw. People were staying in a very deplorable condition. They are on a bar floor, on completed buildings without windows and doors. And then the Commission's Executive Secretary now wrote to the relevant agencies, National Emergency Management Agency, Refugees Commission, and some other relevant agencies. And then we convened a stakeholders meeting to discuss generally on IDPs, particularly those staying in FCT, because the status of IDPs in FCT is peculiar. We don't have designated camps in FCT. So those IDPs there are there, so to say, on their own. They don't get proper attention compared to those who are staying in designated camps in the Northeast. And so from there, we had series of meetings with the various stakeholders, and then we came up with the idea that the best thing we could do is to move these IDPs to camps with facilities in a very voluntary and safe condition. So, but before you could do this, you need to also know whether these states have put in place facilities that could accommodate the returning IDPs. Mm-hmm. That was why the Executive Secretary of the Commission led a team made up of course, NEMA and some other stakeholders, Red Cross, and then we started visiting the states. We've gone to Nasarawa, we've gone to Gombe and Bauchi and all that, even at Adamawa. Then we got to Taraba to witness the situation that was being reported. And when we got to Taraba, we discovered that about 4,723 IDPs that have been in Taraba for about 2 years remained there on their own. They didn't see any government's attention. They didn't receive any attention from anybody except some NGOs.